Oh, this is embarrassing. Hey, buddy. This is your old pal Scott. This is Let's Talk Tabletop. Yeah, I'm pretty upset about them squatting my entire Beasts of Chaos army, painted and based, the whole thing. Kit bashes, you name it. I'm also upset about them squatting my entire Stormcast army because I was dumb enough to give them money a couple years ago, and now all the Sacrosanct and all the first-gen Stormcast stuff is dead. So, let's dive into exactly the ramifications of this for Games Workshop and the future of the game as well as the hobby. And there might be some ranting. There might be. Alright, I'm going to try to do my very best to be as reasonable and rational as possible, okay? Games Workshop is giving us about a year and a couple months to still use these competitively. And then after that, they're going to go to Legends, and they're no longer going to be supported. It's not that you can't play them now. It's not even that you can't play them after that, but they will no longer be supported with rules, updates, and points adjustments and things like that. So that's really frustrating. If you've poured in, I can tell you right now, my Stormcast army, I probably have, let's say $700 in. Let's say it might be $1,000, but maybe $700. And my Beasts of Chaos army, I probably have an equivalent amount in. And you know what else they cut out? They cut out the cultists for Chaos. And I will have you know that I absolutely fell in love with the unmade warband for Warcry. And so what did I do, foolishly, thinking that my purchases would be useful for longer than, I don't know, 3 years? My entire Slaves to Darkness army is made up of unmade. Now, a lot of them are kit bashes, like the Marauders and the Chaos Knights are all unmade. I can still use those for now, but the actual unmade units in my army are no longer going to be anything. And that's pretty upsetting, especially being that they made the cultists, battle line and all sorts of things, gave them neat abilities and whatever. So that's pretty frustrating. It doesn't mean my whole Slaves to Darkness army is dead, but I mean, all my Beasts of Chaos are, and 3/4 of my Stormcast army is. So that's pretty upsetting. They are a company. If I'm being reasonable, they are a company, and they do need to make money, right? And they do need to cut out things that are maybe dead weight economically. They, unfortunately, are a corporation. And all corporations, if you're not familiar with corporations, number one, I don't know where you're living, maybe Antarctica, they need to make more money and pay their shareholders. They got to make more money, and then make more money, and then make more money. How exactly do you just increase sales, right? This is the Ponzi scheme that happens with all corporations. They need to make number go bigger at all times. Sometimes that means making more money, producing new miniatures, producing a new army, and they get that financial bump. Other times, it means cutting dead weight that is maybe not performing as well as the other things. I, for one, am pretty upset that Games Workshop, out of one side of their mouth, talks about the hobby, and this is such a great hobby. Oh my god, give us your money. Buy our paints, buy our supplies, buy our miniatures, buy our terrain. You want mats? We have shitty paper mats. Buy those, right? They custom dice? Oh yeah. I mean, they've got collector's edition rulebook? Oh my god, please buy that. All they want to do is act like they are your friend. All they want to do is act like they are your buddies and they are the old-fashioned GW when it really was just gamers running the company. Unfortunately, that's one side of their mouth. Spend time, spend money with us, right? The assumption there, kind of the unspoken agreement, is that your efforts in painting, assembling, learning an army, the money that you spent is supposedly, assumedly, going to have value in the future. But when you decide to just shit all over your customers, and they completely cut out entire armies at a time, that's not really the whole, hey buddy, we're all friends here, kind of friendly atmosphere that they love to portray on their social media and etc. I know that they're not doing this, if you're being reasonable, I know they're not doing this because they hate us or anything like that. It is purely money. I am certain there was not everybody on board with this. I'm certain that a lot of the staffers probably had a problem and knew the backlash they'd get for just straight axing whole armies. I'm sure that is. But unfortunately, it's the corporate upper-ups are the ones that make all the decisions, and the money speaks. Beasts of Chaos was an older army, so probably they are not making that much money off of them anymore. So I understand why they would cut them, at least partially understand. What I think a better option would have been is to cut some of the models, like the 17 different variants of Ungors you have, right? Cut those out, limit the range a little bit. It gives you room for expansion. And then if you don't want to make so many codexes, you don't want to make so many army rules and different artifacts and all that, then lump it into Chaos. Lump it into something like they've already done with the Zangors and the Fiend Bloods and all that. They've already lumped them into Chaos. So just lump the rest of them into Chaos. If you want to, get rid of Dragon Ogres, okay, some people that play Dragon Ogres, like myself, will be a little bit upset, but whatever, that's not a huge deal because I can play the rest of my army. Same thing with Bulgors, which is my entire army. If you wanted to just cut them out, I'd be upset, but I at least could play the rest of my miniatures in another army with another codex. So basically what they're saying is it's a new edition, and they can't come up with rules for all the armies, so they need to start cutting armies. And they're especially going to cut armies to make room for newer armies. So it's really frustrating that they're just going to cut out armies just for the sake of the dollar. Now, are any of us super surprised? Not really. They've slowly been increasing all of this, right? They've slowly been killing out more firstborn Space Marine units and all that, which we saw coming. It's going to happen. But the Stormcast are like 10 years old as a faction. 10 years old! The Sacrosanct models are like 7 years old or something. They came out with 2nd edition of Age of Sigmar. So now they're putting a pretty hard time limit on what the expiration date is for your miniatures. You can buy brand new miniatures of a brand new army. I used to worry about my other armies and what are they going to squat next, whatever. Never worried about Stormcast because I figured, well, Stormcast's the poster boy, right? They're the ones that they love to expand. They're the ones that love to add miniatures for and put on the cover and all of that. But boy, was I wrong. Because what they're trying to do, the same exact thing you see in the video game industry, is a live service model, right? They want all of your money, and they want it every single month. They're not happy with selling you one overpriced miniature and then being done with it. Maybe with some overpriced paints and some overpriced clippers and some overpriced glue, right? They don't want that. What they want is this plus buying it again, or then you also have to buy this, or then you have to buy a new codex, or you have to buy new rules, or you have to pay for the app, or they need the constant income stream. The problem with corporations is that the investors are never satisfied. They're never full. Their bellies are never ever full. They're always starving for money. Can't really hate on investors. That's the way it's set up, whatever. But unfortunately, it kills gaming, it kills creativity, it kills the community, and it makes it very obvious that this is a transactional relationship we have with Games Workshop. They want to bend you over, take your wallet, take everything out of it at all times, nonstop. If they could figure out a way for you to give every single one of your paychecks in their entirety to them, just direct deposit to GW Corporate, they would absolutely do it. The same thing with all of the other big corporations out there. If McDonald's could do it, if Steam could do it, if EA could do it, they would all be doing it. The problem is, a video game you put time into, but you're playing the game. You don't take time to buy every unit in a video game. You don't take time to glue them together and hopefully build some sort of narrative around them, and kit bash them to make them your own, and then paint them a unique color scheme that no one else has. No, you don't do any of that like you do for miniatures. And much like many of you, I'm a very busy person. I got 4 kids. I've got businesses and a YouTube channel and a convention, and I run the family business, and I got a crap ton of things to do. And I don't appreciate when my time and effort, and especially my money, but actually it's more painful that my time is not appreciated by Games Workshop. It's a really crappy thing to do. Now, you know what's also a kick in the pants? Is I have not one, but 2 friends that just finished, fully painted, all of their Beasts of Chaos. 2 different friends. One friend has just bought his entire army in the last, 3 months. He's been building this Beast of Chaos army. The other friend already had the Beast of Chaos models he bought a couple years ago, but he finally finished painting, his 3,500 points of Beast of Chaos. And then he gets this news. Rightfully so, both of them are quite angry. And like I said, my Stormcast is 3/4 or more the older miniatures. And now they're going to be gone. That is it. They're painted and based. Do you know how many hours it took me to assemble this and paint it and base it and all of that? This is utter bullshit, is what it is. It's just bullshit. And I know I'm going to sound like, oh, whiny baby. I know I'll probably show up on Winehammer Community or whatever. But it's the truth. You can't get mad at me for expecting my purchase to last for a little while. They also don't need anything else to deter people from playing this game. The price is already extremely exorbitant. I don't know how they're getting children in this at all. And the 3D printer issue is a serious threat, and they just pissed more people off. Now, were Beasts of Chaos all the players they had? No. Were Skaven, or the Unmade, or Stormcast, or any of them, were they 100% of their player base? No. But I can tell you with certainty, there were a few people, some percentage of these thousands of players, that finally had enough with this announcement and said, screw GW. And then just are going to walk away, or they're going to play Kings of War, or they're going to play any other game. Because slowly, there is a rising tide. I know in my local gaming group, people are getting angrier and angrier that their time and their money and their investment is not appreciated by Games Workshop, because Games Workshop needs that extra dollar. So I am trying to be as reasonable as possible. Obviously, this is not the end of the world. I own 20 armies, and I could play any of them. But the lack of respect is pretty frustrating. And I know a lot of people are getting angrier and angrier, and they're going to start looking other places, just like the D&D crowd have started going to Pathfinder and other things, because D&D doesn't seem to appreciate them either. So anyway, thank you to all my Patreon patrons for supporting the show. If you want to contact me, it's letstalktabletopscott@gmail.com, and I will see you in the comments section. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.